A 91-year-old woman has 2 corpses in her house. She did not kill them. In fact, she did it out of love. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I watched The Curious Case of, that series on Hulu, and it was a documentary about, like I said, a 91-year-old woman who had 2 corpses in her home, thought it was completely normal, wanted it to be completely normal. Before I really dive in, I just want to say this story is not like super similar to the ones I've been doing, but it's in the ballpark for sure. It's also, I know I'm saying 2 corpses, whatever, but it's not like scary necessarily. I mean, the thought is crazy, but it's not a scary story. So I just don't want you guys to see the title and be like, uh-oh, it's a true crime one. I actually feel for this woman. So Jean is a normal 91-year-old on the surface. She's been described as a sweet old lady, but also manipulative, which is such a funny trait for an old lady. I don't know why. But this whole thing takes place in a town called Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. It is extremely rural, not a ton of neighbors. A lot of things happen there that go unnoticed, like crimes. And of course, police had heard rumors of Jean. There were like almost memes or conspiracies, like I saw Jean with a shovel down at the cemetery because she's got all those corpses at her house. So it was a pretty known thing, but it was just no one ever confirmed it yet, I guess. A lot of people knew, too, that she had these corpses in her house and didn't tell anyone because they were just like, I mean, what's the harm? So a criminal investigator and a coroner, he's like the town coroner, his name is Tom. Tom is bizarre, but also hilarious. Tom has issues. But they get a call just to check on her. So they're like, all right, let's go see what these corpses are. If there's actually corpses in her house, what is going on? They go to her house, they knock on the door, and they're just like, hey, we're here to check on you. And she's like, oh my gosh, come on in. She offers them cookies. And Tom, the coroner, is genuinely expecting to walk in and be dealing with an insane, crazy old lady. But he actually says she's extremely sharp. He says she's sharper than him. She's funny. She's got her wits about her. Also, I just want to say preemptively, she doesn't really have any mental decline or anything. A social worker confirmed she does not have dementia. She does not have anything like that. So the investigator asked her, does anybody live here with you? And she goes, live here? No. And then he goes, is anyone staying with you? And she is just straight up and is like, oh yes, my sister's in the living room. Would you like to come see her? Mind you, these people know everyone in this town. They know her sister, which this is her twin sister, mind you, had been dead for a minute. She brings them into the living room. They see June, who's her twin sister. By the way, June and Jean married brothers, and they were very close, the 2 sisters. We'll get to like the grief of it all, but they married brothers. They also both could not have children. So I just want to say by the end of this, there's no one to like pass anything down to either. So she brings them in to see June, and it's obviously a corpse, and it is genuinely leaking embalming fluid. I mean, at least she has them embalmed. You know what I mean? At least they're embalmed, I guess. They're not just fully decaying in her home. But like I said, she's on the couch. She has a wig on. She has lipstick. She has clothes on. Jean also sprayed her with very expensive perfume. I mean, probably to hide the stank of, you know, the decomposing body. And she is just so matter of fact. She just thinks it's fine and normal. She's like, I just want to talk to her. Like, I don't want her in the ground. She's also never been alone like this. So this is her first time being completely alone. She doesn't have her husband. She doesn't have her sister. But apparently Jean would go into June's room and talk to her hourly. They would have tea together. They would watch the news together. She would just talk to her like it was completely normal. And Jean was extremely claustrophobic. So I'm assuming she was projecting that onto other people, her loved ones, and didn't want them to be buried either. And she just genuinely wanted to spend more time. But she just viewed someone being buried as like the end all be all. She's like, if I can just bring them to my house, like it doesn't feel that bad. So Jean's identical twin sister, June, died in 2009 of cancer. And when the investigator and the coroner went to her house, was in 2010. So she died in 2009. Corpse is still at her house in 2010. I'm gonna get to her husband soon, but I just want to say, now we'll get there. But she passed away in a nursing home quietly. They were super close, like I said, like when one felt hurt, the other one felt hurt kind of vibe. They would write handwritten letters to each other, like almost diary entries. Now Jean is no longer a twin, but she is not going to accept that. She asked to handle the burial herself, which I guess in this town is legal. And of course she doesn't actually bury her. She just puts her in a room in her house. She's already embalmed, by the way, leaking embalming fluid in her house. But yeah, she wanted to bury her sister in her backyard, but I think that was just her excuse to bring her sister home. But her neighbor Jim, who later got charged with a misdemeanor in corpse abuse, I believe it's called, because obviously there are rules where if there's a deceased body, you know, if you do certain things with it to it, you're gonna get in trouble. So I don't know how he got charged and she didn't, but maybe he got charged after she had already passed, because mind you, she was 91 when this all started. So obviously she's not around anymore. So they bring June into the house, they set her on the sofa, and he says he knew it was wrong, but she asked like a million times, and he was just like, fine, I'll just help you. Then they took her to a spare bedroom where Jean had completely like decorated and put family photos around the bed. And to Jean, June wasn't as dead now. Like, June was around. And like I said, a lot of the neighbors and people in the town kind of knew this was happening. But like one neighbor was shocked when she found out that Jim helped Jean. She was like, I was really shocked by all of that, but she didn't really hurt anyone necessarily. I mean, she probably could have let them rest, but... So the coroner and the investigator are at her house. They're looking at June, and she goes, James is also here, which is her deceased husband, who died in 1999. So 11 years. 11 years had gone by, and he had been in that damn house. He died of Parkinson's disease. They were married for 60 years, so a long-ass time. And they're like, what the hell is his body gonna look like? This can't be good. James is in a little garage across the street. Like, she has a shed that's a garage that just has stuff in it, and her deceased husband was in there. So they go in and they see that he is wrapped up in carpet, just like on the ground, and obviously is very decomposed and just not looking great. And it was funny because Tom was like, wait, why does June have a room in your house, but your husband has the garage and is like wrapped up in carpet? And Jean just goes, well, I love June more. James was buried in a local cemetery. He had a quiet and small funeral, and after he died, Jean fell into extreme grief, like anyone would, you know, when your spouse of 60 years dies. And neighbors would come over, bring her food all the time, generally just take care of her, do her lawn stuff, just anything they could do to help her. This is the first time she's really been like alone. I mean, she does have her sister still at this time, but they don't live, I don't think, in the same city. And Jean's whole thought was, when they're in the ground, that's it. You can't hold their hand or touch them. And that was just like her way of just feeling a lot better about the situation, was having these corpses in her home. So after James died, she began visiting the cemetery multiple times a day. And she really wanted to actually see him, and she wanted to very badly put a beanie on him and slippers. And she's like, why does he have to be in the ground? Like, wouldn't it be better if he was home? So she actually gets an exhumation order that's court approved. So I looked up what this meant, because I was like, what do you mean you can get an exhumation order? But I do want to say at this specific cemetery, it was not required that caskets go into burial vaults, which I feel like now is very common, and it doesn't allow you to like dig them up, I'm pretty sure. But an exhumation order means you have the legal right to dig up a body from the grave. It does not mean you can keep the body or take it home. The remains must go to a licensed place like a new cemetery plot, a crematory, or a forensics lab. So she gets this exhumation order. She goes with whoever is doing it, and they dig him up. And it's odd because she wants to open the casket. It's very odd to them. But they open the casket and she puts a beanie and slippers on him. And when they put him back, they just put dirt over it, which was interesting because before that there was rocks and there was just a bunch of stuff that would make it really hard to dig him up. So now they put him back and there's just dirt over it. So it's very easy for maybe her and a group of people to just come back one night and dig his ass up. So Jean and a group of people, an undisclosed group of people, do just that. They go, they dig him up, they put him in the car, and now he is home. Tom is in this documentary, and he's actually explaining that when Jean and James were in their earlier years of marriage, I believe, they were going on a vacation to Florida, and she was like, I want to see my mom before we go. Her mom was already passed. So her and James went to the cemetery, and they dug her up to look at her. And then she was like, okay, I'm good, we can go. So I genuinely feel like this woman is just like, no, I feel closer. And I do want to say there are cultures that keep embalmed bodies in their homes for days, weeks, years sometimes, and it's very normal for that culture. So honestly, like, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely odd here in America where it's not normal. And bodies aren't really prepped to be in a home, obviously. They're meant, to be put together for a while and then they can decompose in a casket. So Jean's nephew's partner was also in this documentary. I don't know if this woman broke up with Jean's nephew. I don't know if Jean's nephew passed away. I am not sure. But she says Jean invited them over for tea one time. And they were sitting at the dinner table, and her husband and her twin sister's corpses were just at the table, and they were just having tea that afternoon with 2 corpses. And she was like, Jean made her look as best as she could. Like earlier in the story, she had lipstick, a wig, clothes. She smelled bad, but there was some perfume over her, so, it was not terrible. Apparently, she also mentioned that James' ear is coming off, but it's staying on because of the hat. I also want to say, when the criminal investigator and the coroner went to her house that time to check on her and, meet the corpses, they said her house, although it did smell because of the corpses, obviously, it was like pristine. It was very clean, which I thought was an interesting, odd thing to let you guys know. So because they came to visit and saw there were corpses in her house, unfortunately, the corpses were taken from her property in June of 2011. Tom, the coroner, brought them to his morgue. Again, he's like the town coroner, and he put them in a refrigerated area, which Jean hated. She was like, that makes me shiver. I don't like that they're in a refrigerated area. And Jean asked Tom, she was like, can they please come back? And he was like, I can't do that. Like, I legally can't do that. You cannot have these bodies in your house right now. Jean gets upset. She gets, a little manipulative. She gets a little teary-eyed, and she does not want these corpses anywhere but her damn home and garage, I guess. It is so funny that her dead husband is just like on the ground. Like, why do you want his body if it's just on the ground in the garage? I don't understand. So while this is happening, police are like, what do we do with this? Because it's all very odd, because she didn't kill these corpses, as most people do when they have corpses in their home. She's really not a threat to the public. I mean, I guess unless you're a buried relative of hers, maybe she'll dig you up, but she's not, she's not hurting anybody specifically, really. And they're kind of like, well, she's 91. Like, why would we charge her? This is crazy. She's just lonely. And also, I want to say, a lot of the reason people in the neighborhood, in the town, didn't really say anything was because they just felt bad. They were on the same page of well, she's not harming anyone. I think she's just lonely, and that's really sad. So let her have it, kind of thing. Jean keeps asking Tom to bring June and James back to her house. And he just keeps being like, I can't. So Jean shows up with some clothes, and she's like, will you please dress them in these clothes? So he does. He said he did a horrific job. The smell was awful. And Jean also wanted him to talk to them. So he kept his promise, and he was chatting up these corpses as he was dressing them. And he was also putting his job at risk, mind you. And one of the craziest things, I mean, I don't know if this is crazier than having 2 corpses in your house, but Tom asked a random family that had a corpse at his morgue awaiting a funeral, I'm assuming, if they wouldn't mind if that corpse had a party with other corpses. AKA, I'm sure Jean was like, I want a party thrown for them, and I want other people to join. Imagine being like the family member of the person that he asked, can they have a party with other corpses? The humor in me is like, oh, I would 100% be like, yeah, go for it. But I think in reality, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? She also even tried to bribe him. Like, she offered $5,000 for him to bring these bodies back, but he claims he's never taken money from her, so. Tom also recalls the first time he met her. Apparently, she brushed her teeth and she started flirting with him, and she was like, I've always wanted to marry a funeral director. She wanted somebody who knew how to deal with dead bodies, obviously. And at the time, he said he would help her. So Tom has the 2 corpses, and Jean is getting a garage built. It's like a shed garage thing. And she's like, hopefully I can keep the corpses there. Tom comes out to see this shed. He says there's a space heater in the corner of the ceiling, which I don't understand, but okay. There are 8 tables that look like autopsy tables, and there's spaces for June, James, June's husband, Jean's father, Jean's mother, Jean's grandfather, Jean, then a random one that no one knows. So what she really wants is her whole family to be above ground. Like, she's like, I want them dug up and brought here to the shed so they can be above ground, and I can visit them and have fun with them. I don't know. But he was like, I don't think this will work. To legally do this, these bodies have to be sealed somehow. And I just want to add, I'm making it sound like Tom is just really following the law, but I think he's just worried about his job. Unfortunately, Jean dies before any of this gets figured out. Apparently, Tom visited her while she was, passing, and she was just like, I'm ready to go. So now Tom has 3 bodies. He has June, James, and now Jean. And he's like, what the hell am I gonna do? Because they can't go in that shed. He figures out, wait, what if we got an above ground vault, basically like a mausoleum, and he can put James, June, and Jean at least in there, and they're above ground, and he's, you know, following her wishes. 4 people went to Jean's funeral. Tom went, the coroner, the funeral director, and 2 neighbors. And there was no obituary, which is actually pretty sad. Like I said, she didn't have any kids or anything, and I don't think she really had any family left except for, I guess, that nephew that came over for tea, but I'm very confused by that because she got pissed at him and took him out of the will because she's pretty sure that when they came over for tea, he leaked it somewhere, and he also was maybe trying to get the house after she died. I don't know. So Tom finishes this above ground crypt in a cemetery, and people are genuinely like, I wonder if they're actually in there. Like, they're like, I don't know. Even police are like, I doubt they're in there. It's so funny. It's just like a known thing and nobody really even cares. It's so bizarre. But there are 0 records from the funeral director of them being buried. So it's very strange. One of the neighbors who went to the funeral was second guessing. He was like, did we see her get buried? So it's like a whole thing. But Jean's neighbors become the beneficiaries of her will. They get 121 acres and they get houses on this property and the shed. So there are rumblings. People are kind of curious. Did she maybe work out a deal with them? I'll give you all my things if you just keep these bodies in the shed. Keep my stuff, keep the corpses in the shed, we'll be all good, you can have my house. Oh my god, imagine getting the offer to own 121 acres and a whole ass house. You just have to keep 3 corpses in the garage. And police probably aren't really gonna care. I might take it. I don't know. They also think Tom is sus, obviously. Maybe he's been in it for the money. Or maybe there's something else in the mausoleum vault thing and their bodies are in the shed. Like, maybe there's something else in there that they're keeping. Tom said it was very odd because the day he went to go look at the shed that Jean was, you know, having someone build for the bodies, he said that a neighbor's son came out and was like, no photos. So he was kind of like, that was odd. I also do want to say these neighbors who obtained her beneficiary always took care of her, brought her food, got groceries for her, did her lawn. So, I mean, they also could be like, well, she's getting old and she has a big chunk of land and she doesn't have any family, so maybe she'll give it to us if we're really nice to her. Who knows? But it is very odd because the neighbors completely bulldoze Jean's house, but they keep the shed. So it's like, what is in the shed that's so important? I mean, it could be because it's newer and they don't need to bulldoze it and maybe they're actually using it for something. Who knows? But I do think it is a little strange. So investigators and I don't know, maybe it's like producers of this documentary, but they got permission to open the crypt to see if the bodies were in there. The problem is the owners will not answer when whoever in the city is calling them to ask their permission to open. They just want to see if they're in there and they just haven't answered. So I think until this day, nobody really knows. Another interesting thing was the gas industry in Wyalusing was offering leases to landowners because I guess there was like a huge reserve of natural gas in this town. So the gas industry was offering, you know, monies if they could drill beneath people's land and get the oil. And of course, Jean lived on top of a gold mine, they said. She's sitting on a gold mine. There were tons of oil deposits. She was going to get paid a hefty amount to let them do this. So that's another major thing. Whoever knew that she's sitting on a gold mine, obviously, it's probably like, damn, I want this house. I'm blaming the neighbors at this point. Also, the odd thing about Tom is he was, I'm kind of confused. It said he was like the CEO of like a nonprofit EMT service. Apparently, he spent $356,000 worth of unauthorized purchases through the company. So he obviously, you know, was needing money. He said he's never taken money from Jean, but, and honestly, maybe she made a deal with Tom. Like, if you help me with all of this, I will help you with, you know, things that you need. So that's kind of it. I feel like this video is going to be way shorter than my normal ones, but I thought this story was so interesting. It's just so weird because it's like, I don't judge her at all. Like, I think it's totally normal to think that way. I mean, I think it's crazy to go and dig up your husband, twin sister, bring them into your home, of course. But it would be nice if there was a way for people to feel like they could still be with their person, I guess. Like I said, in other cultures, it is a thing. I can't remember what culture it is, but they do, they set up the body during the funeral in a way where it's like the person doing an action of something they loved doing. So like I've seen pictures of corpses on a motorcycle. Like, I've seen corpses holding a guitar. I've seen corpses sitting on a fake horse. Like, it is crazy, but I think it's cool. I think there's so many ways to view our bodies after death. I think a lot of people are like, I don't want to see my loved one, you know, in that state, which is totally fair. But other people do, I guess, like Jean. Well, let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment of, I don't know, anyone you want me to look up. I definitely have a list going. If you want me to, I can name off a couple that I have written down already. Oh great, it's not loading at all. Hold on, let me look at my phone. Okay, I have Wake Up Olive. I think that's an interesting one. I also think I was following that story. Maybe it wasn't the same family, but it's a family who their child sadly passes away, but they're very Christian and think that they're literally gonna resurrect. I've got Rosie Ruiz, if you know who that is, the guy who conned Oprah, the author, McDonald's, Monopoly, Boy Band Con, which is really interesting. I'm pretty sure I'm doing Kira Cousins and Susan Meechin soon. I also have Kevin McEver. I don't even know who half these people are, but I've looked them up and been like, okay, this might be good. So I put them on a list. So I will add to it if you guys have any more. But I love you guys. Please subscribe. I will see you next time I post. Bye.